What's up, everybody? Welcome back to ABL Primetime for Week 4 of the Amateur Battle League. Today we have a matchup between the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils and the NJ Brobats, a matchup you guys do not want to miss. Before that, I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for sticking around for 4 weeks of the ABL. We're now about to hit the dynamic shuffle system change, and you're also about to get the final 4 weeks of the regular season. So again, coaches positioning themselves for this DSS is really important this week. Everything from here on forward is very detrimental. Again, it's only 8 weeks as opposed to a traditional 12 to 10 week league. So again, after this shuffle, players that go down to the lower division have a better chance to make playoffs because statistically, players have a lower win percentage. So like there's chances for them amongst themselves to get wins, of course. But then the higher players have more chances to lose because obviously they're playing against players that haven't lost. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how things play out. Differential is going to be very important, especially for that mid-tier, like the bottom of the first division and the top of the lower division. That differential is going to help put in playoff seeds for them. So again, it's going to be very interesting the next coming days, the next coming weeks, next coming matches. Today's matchup is going to be very, very interesting because it's the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils versus the NJ Brobats, two very strong teams as of the current standings, of course. So what we're going to do first is I want you guys to look at the trophy down below. Remember, that's the trophy that the winner is going to be winning. Also, very quick and important to announce, power plays. There will be another power play winner today. Power play payments have not gone out. They will go out collectively. So the end of week 4, going into week 5, the first 4 power plays will go out, and then week 8, the following 4 power plays will go out. So very important that you guys are aware of that. There will be 8 power play winners. Those will be going out in groups at the same time. They'll be collecting the PayPal information for all the coaches that won, and those will be sent out in one go. It is not 20 USD as opposed to last season because it was a longer season. There was more funds. We didn't do the the donations we did towards supporting systematic racism and so on and so forth. So again, very transparent. It is a little bit of a lesser amount, but it is going out nonetheless. On top of that, another announcement that we do need to say, the ABL website, as if anybody has been wondering what happened to the ABL website, not the draft league site, the ABL website, it is currently down. We are in the process of transferring, I guess in a way you could say ownership, but like all the administrative stuff to whoever's going to take over the ABL. We'll have more information as we approach the end of the league. As you guys know, this is my last season running the league. I'm not disappearing, but it is the last season me running the league. It is the last season where you will have me doing all the primetime stuff here in the background. So hopefully it falls into great hands. And like we said before, if anybody is interested in joining the staff, you guys can go ahead and pop up on the net and voice your interest. With that being said, let's talk about some standings. All right, so let's get things started. Let's talk about where everybody stands in terms of, I guess, division-wise, right? In the Armor division, we have the Copenhagen Canines at a 3-0. We have the Minnesota Berserkers at a 2-1. Let me go ahead and pull up some proper, accurate information here as we carry on. We'll do it this way. Yeah, this will look a lot better. Yep. So we have the Copenhagen Canines at 3-0, leading the pack. We have the Minnesota Berserkers at 2-1. We have the Boston Red Claws at 2-1. We have the Dashing Dittos at 1-2. We have the Herkimer Dreadnoughts at 1-2 as well. We have the Boston Grambles trailing the bunch at 0-3. So again, very, very interesting to see how the Boston Grambles, such a prominent team from last season, dropping down and having a very hard time finding their footing this season. Not much has changed rule-wise, at least on our side. So it might just be a team thing, a synergy thing. We might see some transactions coming from their end. but definitely very interesting nonetheless. And then on the Crown Division, we have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, which are currently sitting at a 2-1. We have the Honolulu Toros rocking an 0-3, just like the Boston Grambles. We have the Vancouver Corviknights at a 2-1, actually picking up a loss. We have St. Hubert's Castaways, which are also struggling a little bit compared to last season at a 1-2. The NJ Brobats, which we're going to see them battle today at a 2-1, just like the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. And then we have the Lansing Leaf Yawns at a 1-2. Again, we're noticing here that the prominent teams from last season, with the exception of the Copenhagen Canines, having a hard time, I guess, getting used to their new teams. I'm not too positive what exactly might be the issue here, but definitely hard matchups potentially could be the thing. It's interesting to see if the dynamic shuffle coming up next week will help any of these teams out, specifically teams that fall in the latter end of the shuffle. Like the St. Hubert's Castaways are probably going to fall in the latter end. Boston Grambles, Dashing Dittos definitely probably going to fall in the latter end. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they benefit from that shuffle. Teams that are consistently average so far, Boston Red Claws and Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, they're consistently average in terms of how they've started the season. It's only 3 weeks in, but both teams have 2 wins, 1 loss. And then Copenhagen Canines dominating at 3-0 right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see once the shuffle takes place, what exactly happens to these teams, what exactly performance-wise, if there's any transactions happening in these coming weeks as well, maybe because of the differentials, maybe because of the win-losses, but it's going to be very interesting. Now, before we move on to the main event for today, which is going to be the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils versus the NJ Brobats, we do need to crown a power play winner. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and show that off right now. And again, today's power play winner is going to be none other than the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, coached by Jimmy Turtle. If you guys did not watch this matchup last week, it is definitely one to watch. I believe it was the primetime match as well. They took down my team. They came in, they had a very solid strategy with their rain team, and they completely dominated. Towards the end of the match, it became a little bit closer, but the complete management of speed tierings, the complete management of their mons, their HP, and hazard control on the field completely showcased total dominance on their side, of course. Again, Gigantamax Dreadnought coming in from their team, also rocking in a Rapid Strike Urshifu in the back, using Sableye as their prankster to be able to control any sort of situation that they wanted to control. Definitely showcases some very good strategic prep from the Herkimer Dreadnoughts, and also showcases some very, very competitive, a very competitive mindset moving forward. And going into the potential dynamic shuffle, depending on where they fall in the shuffle, depending on this week, of course, it's going to be very interesting to see if their matchups are harder, easier, and I say easier, but every matchup can be difficult, but in the sense of prep wise, like what team would probably do better against the other, if it's going to be harder or easier for them, and how they maneuver their way potentially into playoffs at this rate. But again, congratulations to the Herkimer Dreadnoughts. We'll be contacting you and the rest of the crew towards the end of week 4 going into week 5 and according to PayPal information and stuff like that. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and let's talk about this coming matchup here, because this matchup, and I will be commentating it, so don't worry about that, but this coming matchup here is going to be very interesting. We have the Sandaconda, which is the Dynamax/Gigantamax for the NJ Brobats, and the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils have 2, having the Duraludon and having the Lapras. So prep-wise for the NJ Brobats, it's probably going to be a little bit more hard, a little bit more difficult to deal with. But the fact that they have Eternatus as well as a restricted mon kind of gives them a little bit of a wiggle room to be able to deal with that. The choice of one or the other Dynamax mons. The only thing is, Lapras having access to Ice-type moves, having it be super effective against both of the mons that can potentially take on a Dynamax Pokemon from the NJ Brobats, that being the Sandaconda and the Eternatus. So it most likely Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, bringing in the Lapras instead of the Duraludon as their Dynamax option. But again, the matchup is going to be very close. These two teams are really good, so it's going to be very interesting to see how these two play out. But without any further delay, that's it for today, guys. Let's go into the battle, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome to week 4 of the Pokemon ABL, where we have the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils versus the NJ Brobats. Right now we have Soy Salamonster on the screen picking up the rules as we break down and commentate over today's battle. This is the last week before the dynamic shuffle system. Essentially what that does is it will reorganize people into division or competitors into divisions based on their win-loss ratio, and then followed by differential if there's a tie. So again, this is a very big week for all teams so that they could get positioning into the proper, division. Again, both these teams potentially being in the crown division, or I mean the armor division, which is the one in the front, the higher division with the better win-loss ratio. Again, making it more difficult in the last 4 weeks for them to maintain momentum into playoffs. But here we have the breakdown for both teams. We have Lapras, Meowstic, Dracovish, Marshadow, Politoed, and Raichu Alola in Soy's side, while we have the Klefki, Hydreigon, Sirfetch'd, Ferrothorn, Eternatus, and that Sandaconda, which is obviously the Dynamax/Gigantamax captain for the NJ Brobats. Very interesting mons for sure. I think these two teams had a very particular matchup because Soy has a very good water core team, but at the same time he also has potential to use Marshadow to take any sort of setup that the opponent might want to bring. At the same time, having the Meowstic potentially setting up a terrain, manually of course, and then having Raichu take advantage of it is also really big. Also, Lapras being able to use a Dynamax electrical move to get the terrain for Raichu as well is very, very big. Again, Soy's team has a lot of different techniques that can be used for his advantage. On the NJ Brobat side, you know, that Prankster Klefki is going to be a very big issue. Eternatus is very big to take down those Dynamax mons. Sandaconda can potentially set up weather, and having 2 mons that are immune to the weather, Root is definitely potentially going to set up that sand once he brings up the Dynamax of Sandaconda. But we'll see how this match plays out. We'll see how these two teams lead off, and week 4 begins now. As we go and see Root take out McDonald's and Doctor. So we have the Hydreigon and Klefki. Klefki with Prankster is going to be very interesting. And right off the bat, we see Soy lead off with the Meowstic and the Lapras. Again, Lapras being that Dynamax, Gigantamax captain / mon that can do the thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see what these two go for here. It looks like that Lapras will go on and Dynamax turn 1, which is going to be very big, and try to get that Aurora Veil up as quickly as possible. And again, we're taking the Spanish side of the gameplay. So I know Spanish. I could try to guess what some of these moves are, but I don't know what they are because I don't play the game in Spanish, you know what I mean? But anyways, we're going to see that Dynamax go off right off the bat. Again, we're going to have to see what Root decides to do in response to this. Again, we saw Soy want to go for the Ice move, so that would trigger the Aurora Veil, the G-Max Resonance, of course. So we're gonna go ahead and see that go ahead and turn into the Gigantamax Lapras as we go and hopefully see a Prankster move. So there is a Protect here, very good read on his part, potentially getting that Ice move into the Hydreigon slot. And now we have this seems Drapichael, that seems like Switcheroo. So we're switching items around. So Pañuelo, Elección, that's like Choice Scarf. So something was Choice Scarfed. I'm not too sure. I don't know what item he had. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and see the max resonance. This will set up that the Aurora Veil essentially, no matter what, even though there was a Protect, it does hit through Protect. So very good plays going on here as we go on and see. Perfect. Okay, that sounds like a very good turn 1. Now, Root has the option to switch out. I would personally switch out that Hydreigon. Maybe opt for Sirfetch'd, maybe opt for Ferrothorn, maybe opt for, I think those are just the only two. Sirfetch'd or Ferrothorn might be a good switch in from for that Hydreigon, unless if you potentially have Ally Switch to try to mess around, but I don't think that might be a thing here. As Soy's in a really good position here as well, just because of the pressure that Lapras adds on to the field. You know, Root he protected once already. He can't double protect, you know, without risking the chance of it not actually working. So I think a switch is pretty safe into maybe Sirfetch'd or Ferrothorn. Personally, I would probably try to bring in Ferrothorn. I think Klefki could probably do something else here. But we see the switch from Soy first as he goes in, takes out the Meowstic, brings in the Politoed, sets up the Rain I'm predicting here. Potentially maybe opting to try to start setting up for that Dracovish to come in once this Dynamax ends off on Lapras. We do see the Klefki switch out coming into Ferrothorn. So that's a switch, not the one I predicted. There's a U-turn coming in from the Hydreigon. So we did see the Scarf switch into the Hydreigon properly, right? Is that what I saw? Anyways, but we saw the Scarf, or not the Scarf, but we saw the U-turn. So that's a good double switch. I'm predicting maybe Surfetched, or maybe you just switch back into Klefki. So we'll see what happens here. It is the Klefki. So very, very good switches here. So now they could potentially take that damage fairly well. Although this is a Max Geyser coming in to the boosted Rain. Free Hugs is going to take some really good damage. That's some really good damage on the Ferrothorn, if I do say so myself. Now, Ferrothorn has the option here to try to go for a super effective hit on the Lapras. Does have the option to set up. It has the option to set Leech Seed, maybe just Protect to stall out the turns to the Dynamax. Again, it's a very interesting positioning here. And Soy can also opt to go ahead and switch out. Marshadow is a good response to the Ferrothorn. A big brain play from the Brobats could be like a double switch and just switch Ferrothorn back out. I don't think that we'll see that. So we do have the Sunny Day coming in. Ooh, controlling the weather. That's a very, very good play on parts on the NJ Brobats. So now what that'll do, in fact, is just weaken any sort of water move coming from Lapras, but Lapras will then reset it with this Max Geyser. And, weaken Dracovish whenever it does decide to come back out. So we do know now that Klefki has Sunny Day, and with Prankster, it is going to be very, very troublesome. Lapras was infected with something. I'm assuming it was a Leech Seed. So yeah, that is a Leech Seed into the Lapras slot. Once Lapras goes out, Soy may opt to might as well just switch Lapras out entirely and save Lapras for the Sandaconda. So that's a very good mon to have for Sandaconda. I think we will see that switch here. Whether or not it's going to be for the Dracovish or the Raichu, we'll have to see, because we do know that Klefki does have Sunny Day. So all it takes is for Klefki to set up Sunny Day one more time. Water moves aren't as effective anymore. If the Scarf Dracovish comes in, it's going to be interesting to see what Ferrothorn would do. So we'll go ahead and see exactly what's going to happen here. But we did see that switcheroo trick this Choice Scarf. So it was a Choice Scarf into the Meowstic, as we saw that Meowstic was also holding a Scarf. So I did read that right in Spanish, but we just had to make sure. So there is a Protect coming in from the Ferrothorn slot, maybe probably scouting out what exactly Soy wanted to do. We do see the Sunny Day come in. Soy does have the option to just hard switch into Politoed to control that weather. Weather is going to be a very big factor in this battle. So we're going to see this, I guess I was Force Palm, Drain Punch, one of the two from the Marshadow onto the Ferrothorn, which protected. That's really good play. He does have the Rain Dance on the Meowstic as well, so he doesn't necessarily need to switch into Politoed. He could use that as a sort of prediction towards the Brobats and predict, the Ferrothorn predicting a Politoed and going for like Power Whip or something like that. So it's good. It's good prep on both sides, because Soy having that Prankster Sunny Day, and then the Brobats having the Prankster, Soy having the Prankster Rainy Dance, and then the other team having the Prankster Sunny Day. The only problem here is that the Meowstic is Scarfed, so whatever it does, it's going to be locked into. So maybe that's why Soy would opt to not. And here we see the Chople Berry on the Ferrothorn, as we do see the Iron Barbs come in and hit that Marshadow. Now we're going to go ahead and see a Play Rough coming in from the Klefki, doing some moderate damage onto the Marshadow. Marshadow triggering its weakness policy, which is now going to prove to be troublesome for the Brobats here. Here's going to be a Gyro Ball coming in from the Ferrothorn onto the Marshadow, and will that be enough? Just barely enough. Barely enough. Now Aurora Veil is also out of the scene, so Soy did not properly manage that our Aurora Veil, basically. No Mons have been fainted as of yet. It's going to be a very interesting matchup here. We do see the Marshadow barely living, so Marshadow can opt to probably have like a Shadow Sneak to try to hit something, probably go for some sort of fighting move to try to get the Ferrothorn out, as we're going to go ahead here and see that's not Aurora Veil, Safeguard. So that seemed like a safeguard. We see the Shadow Sneak on the Prankster, so that's going to be done. That Klefki's out. Gyro Ball does come in, pick up the Marshadow, so Ferrothorn does pick up a KO as we see Mons go from side to side. Now, very good option here from Soy might want to be to set up the rain with the Politoed and then hard switch into the Dracovish. That would be a pretty solid play in my opinion. You know, bring in the Politoed, get the rain going. You already took down the Prankstermon on the other side. You could then later switch the Politoed back in case the Sandaconda comes in. But if the Sandaconda comes in, the added pressure that you add for having a special water type is definitely interesting. So we'll have to see here what exactly Soy wants to go for. He might want to just scout out first and go for the Raichu. But again, I think a very, very, very good play would be bring in the Politoed and then hard switch into the Dracovish. But again, we'll see what happens here. Or same thing, same concept basically. Or you could just hard switch into the Politoed next turn. As we see the Surfetch come in. So Surfetch, a very, very massive threat in the sense that it has very, very good attack stat. Not too good in speed. There is no Tailwind on the opponent's side either. So again, I think this is where Soy opts to bring in the Rain, like we were saying. So he probably will go for the Rain, go for maybe Vicious Rend onto the Surfetch, which I believe should be the bigger threat in terms of what Mons it could take out. It could take out that Lapras. It poses a really big threat to that Lapras. And again, I think once you take care of that, there's barely any physical attackers on the Brobats team other than Sandaconda, and Sandaconda can be taken out fairly easily as long as you have a special attacker. So we're gonna have to go ahead and see what the Brobats decide to do this turn, because again, this seems like it's gonna be a very important turn. So we do see the switch, like we said, coming into the Politoed, which will set up the Rain, which is also going to be prolonged due to the Damp Rock. So again, going to be very interesting to see what the Brobats decide to do here. First impression coming in from the Surfetch, doing massive damage onto the Dracovish. Not enough to do too much damage, I'd say. There goes the Vicious Rend. Goodbye to the Surfetch. Again, Surfetch definitely being a massive loss on the Brobat side. As we see the Power Whip coming in from the Ferrothorn, doing some very good damage onto the Dracovish. Dracovish is just hanging on by a thread. Honestly, right now, you could potentially bring in Sandaconda, max guard for one turn, or risk it and try to take down the Dracovish from here. Eternatus might be another good play. Again, it's interesting. Ferrothorn has been in the field longer than we thought it would be. Here comes Fire Nation, which is the Eternatus, propping up the pressure. Should it be faster? I'm not sure, but might not be faster, but we'll see exactly what they decide to do here, as we can see potentially an Icy Wind coming in from the Politoed to try to lower these Mons' speeds. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see how this turn plays out, because if you opt to protect on the Eternatus, that'd be enough. Here comes a Vicious Rend onto the Eternatus, which does take the hit. It's not very effective. Here comes a Sludge Bomb, enough to take out the Dracovish. Dracovish is now down. It is an even ball game, even though there's no balls. But here comes Icy Wind to slow these Mons down just a bit. That's going to be big for the Eternatus specifically. Again, Ferrothorn was already slow, but Eternatus being slower, Raichu could come in and just go for a Psychic move and take it out from this range. The only thing would be probably to predict just bringing Hydreigon to protect that Psychic move come in. But I think, honestly, you bring in Raichu and you don't necessarily just go for that move. You know what I'm saying? You bring in Raichu and you go for Surf, hard switch into Lapras on the other slot for water absorb purposes. So again, we'll see what exactly he decides to go for. But like Surf on Raichu seems a lot safer because of the rain, and in case he would want to switch into the Dark type Hydreigon, which is in the back. So we'll have to see right now what he decides to do. Again, I have a strong feeling you switch into Lapras, get that little bit of recovery, Surf, hit both Mons on the other side. The rain gives you a little bit of a boost. Hopefully it's enough to knock out the Fire Nation as you predict a switch into the Hydreigon. Or if you want to go for it, you might get predicted and there will be a retreat here like we just said. So this should be the Hydreigon. Yeah, there it is. So again, it was definitely a hit or miss situation there. And I think Soy did select the Psychic move. So we'll see right now whether or not he did. But I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, he did. So I think that was expanding force. So here comes the Leech Seed onto the Raichu. Again, Soy opting to not focus on this Ferrothorn, which is a very big threat. That little bit of chip damage every single turn from Leech Seed and it recovering is going to make it harder and harder for Soy to take care of it later, especially after losing the Marshadow, which is probably potentially the best thing to take out that Ferrothorn. So we're going to have to see Soy probably shift focus after taking care of the Hydreigon to Ferrothorn rather than anything else on the field. Obviously, depending on what comes out on the field at the time. But very close game from both teams. The Brobats working very well with Soy's team and being very meticulous on what they send out, when they send it out, and what moves they pick. They're opting for the recovery right now on Ferrothorn, knowing that Ferrothorn is in a really good position. Honestly, from here, Ferrothorn can potentially take every Mon out with the assist of the Mons next to him. So again, unless Soy focuses on that Ferrothorn, Ferrothorn should be in a position right now to where Soy really can't do much to it. And as long as it has some Leech Seed recovery going on for it, it's going to be doing a lot of damage. And now we see the Play Rough coming in from the Raichu, not enough to take up. No, it does take out the Doctor. So Hydreigon is now out of the field. Very big threat out of the field. Life Orb does some little bit of chip onto the Raichu as we go ahead and see Freeze Dry. I believe that's Freeze Dry. And he gets the Freeze. And then there's the Freeze going away. So again, Leech Seed on both Mons. Again, very big threat like we were saying. The fact that Ferrothorn is now going to recover pretty much all the HP it lost this turn is massive. Soy's going to have to find a way to deal with this Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn being a very, very, very problematic Mon right here. So let's see what route decides to go for here with the Brobats. Whether they want to bring in Eternatus now or decide to bring in Sandaconda and potentially go ahead and Dynamax that thing. So we do see the Sandaconda. That is their Gigantamax. That is their Dynamax. They can go ahead and do that right now. I would probably say they do. I think they probably do target the Raichu slot, and whatever wants to switch into the Raichu slot is going to get hit with massive damage, unless this Lapras decides to go for the Sandaconda right now. Sandaconda can also go for Coil instead, and potentially have a Body Press build, which is going to be scary enough to take care of the Lapras. So it just totally depends on what type of build of the Sandaconda we have here. Soy opting to go for a Surf here on the Raichu slot, which again is going to be massive as well. Hopefully Root decides to protect here with the, or probably have a max guard or something. That would be probably best case scenario. But we're going to see what exactly happens here with this Sandaconda as it does Gigantamax. He might opt to just completely change this weather as well with a ground move. We don't know. We'll see. As a Surf does come in, the Water Absorb activates on the Lapras, getting nice recovery from all that HP that's been being sucked away from Leech Seed. As Surf comes in, does massive damage onto the Sandaconda. I do not believe that thing is Assault Vested. So there comes a I forget the name. No, not Sandstream. Sandspit, right? Yeah, Sandspit. We'll say Sandspit. So now we have the Sandstorm up. Now we're going to see the Gigantamax move go onto the Lapras, not do enough damage. Lapras is rocking Assault Vest, so that doesn't really matter much. That should have been a physical move. And there goes the Hydro Pump onto the Sandaconda, knocking it out, securing that KO on that Sandaconda. Again, very, very big plays from the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, solidifying their lead right now. All they got to do is take out 2 more Mons, and they'll be done. They'll be done with this match. And again, we'll have to see exactly what goes on in these next few turns, because it's definitely going to be a close one here if the NJ Brobats manage to knock out either Lapras or Raichu, because Politoed and Meowstic don't necessarily have the best moves to deal with these Mons. And we do see the Sand Tomb here, the sand damage going on here, and affecting both of these Mons. So again, we're going to have to go ahead and see exactly what the NJ Brobats want to do, but that extra chip damage is going to be very big for both Mons. They're both affected by the Leech Seed. They're both being hit by the sand. They're both getting sand chip. They're both being pressured. So again, very, very, very big pressure from the Brobats towards the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, despite them actually being at a disadvantage right now. And again, like we said, that Ferrothorn alone can potentially take out the rest of this team should it just always set up the Leech Seed properly. So again, we're going to have to go ahead and see exactly what the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils do this turn. again, here comes the expanding force, I believe. And will that be enough to take out the Fire Nation? It doesn't seem like it was. It was, actually. So it was. I couldn't see if there was 1 HP or not. So again, the NJ Brobats are down to the last mob, but this is not over yet. This Ferrothorn can still do it. I'm a firm believer that it still has enough power to go ahead and do some good damage here. So we'll see what exactly happens in these next few turns. But as of right now, it does seem like the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils are in the lead and will have enough power to take care of this team. But as we just saw right now, that Leech Seed takes out the Raichu. Indirect kill for that Ferrothorn. Leech Seed recovering that Ferrothorn again. I'm sorry. So again, another indirect kill for Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn, a very massive threat. If we do see the Politoed come in, Politoed will reset the weather. So that's going to be great. But we're going to go ahead and see that right now. I think honestly, should this game keep going, the NJ Brobats do win. But honestly, we saw the timer. I don't know if it's going to be done fast enough for the Brobats to get the victory. So we're going to have to see how fast these players play. If Soy decides to play the timer, I don't know. But again, in time-wise, I believe the Brobats can actually win this should they have enough time to play this out, because Ferrothorn is in a position, like we've been saying since the beginning of the match, Soy losing Marshadow so early that, again, the Leech Seed is going to be enough to pick up the KO on the Lapras, like we saw. Surf isn't going to do anything. We are running against the clock here, so again, this is going to be very big. You know, that Surf recovery on Lapras is also big as well, so it's going to be such a close match in terms of differential, because at this point, I don't believe there's a way that we can play all these turns before the timer runs out. But again, it is definitely such a close match, even though there are 3 Mons alive on the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils side. That is such a shame. So now, if the NJ Brobats want to get a KO, you know, just because they know differential wise, that's all they can really do. They can opt to attack that. They can opt to attack the Lapras as it continues to get the water absorbed. But other than that, I don't think Politoed and Meowstic had enough or had anything really to take care of the Ferrothorn. And as we see the Surf come in, it does barely anything in the rain to Ferrothorn. So again, should this match have gone, should this match have gone past time, I do believe the NJ Brobats had that. And we see a Power Whip coming in to the Politoed. So we do get a KO on the Politoed, which is even better in terms of positioning. I don't know, man. The timer is up. Victory will go to the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils, but this match, even with the Ferrothorn being the last Mon on the field against 4 Mons, Ferrothorn alone would have probably picked up every single KO. So again, very close game, massive game, incredible prep from both teams. I think the Brobats had a harder prep for their opponent, of course. Like their team against the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils is a little bit harder to prep for, but again, this is the end of the game. This turn won't play. Winner will be the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils due to timer. But still, incredibly massive game between the NJ Brobats and the Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. Again, should the match have gone past timer, Brobats would have won. But again, congratulations, Cuernavaca Cyndaquils. And that's it for ABL Primetime Week 4. Take it easy, guys.